I had time to reflect on a passage that was quoted to me years ago. At 30, a man suspects himself a fool, knows it at 40, and reforms his plan. At 50, chides his infamous delay, pushes his prudent purpose to resolve in all the magnanimity of thought, resolves and re-resolves, then dies the same. Edward Young. The culmination of human endeavor through the fires of human history, the cross and Calvary, the tumult endured to the current era, gave birth to a nation that has encapsulated perhaps the best in the genius of human independence, reason, and conscience. As in days past, many among us have made tyranny, hate, pride, will, greed, avarice, licentiousness, infidelity, and lust bosom companions. They are quality or conditions of thought that undermine our integrity. Emotion, speculation, confusion, hyperbole, gossip, and imagination have become the multum imparvo in today's journalism, books, and literature, and all across social media. More and more, there has become a clash of those seeking truth in reporting. There appears to be a moral vacuum where common sense and conscience once reigned supreme. What has changed? Or, moreover, what is changing? Before Jesus' execution, he was brought before Pontius Pilate, the 5th prefect of the Roman province of Judea under the Roman Emperor Tiberius. Before appearing before his accusers, Jesus makes a statement to Pilate where he says, "Everyone that is of the truth heareth my voice." Pilate responds to Jesus with a question: what is truth? This query continues to echo down the ages, and we are once again confronted with the question that, on its face, appears to be inimical to our peace of mind. Where once faith and reverence to the divine gave birth to generations teeming with ideas, art, and expression, some among us sought to abolish the most abhorrent conditions to humanity, both through selflessness and science. James Wilson, signer of the United States Constitution and a Supreme Court justice, who spoke at the Constitutional Convention approximately 168 times, said this: "Human law must rest its authority ultimately upon the authority of that law which is divine. Far from being rivals or enemies, religion and law are twin sisters, friends, and mutual assistants. Indeed, these two sciences run into each other." The notion that humankind has outlived the necessity for a static principle, known to us as truth, is wanting when we see the angst and uncertainty so prevalent in the broadcast powers of our time. We appear to have a rogue government uninterested in enforcing the laws already established, and yet they're prepared to legislate even more. If laws already established lack the power to be enforced, how are we to expect that legislating more shall increase virtue? Can justice be found in a person, in a courtroom, in a government, under a microscope, or in a laboratory? Human justice too often does not dispense virtue, because words, as many are telling us, are whatever we think they are. How did we get here? The influence and intrigue of moral relativism, or what some might call a form of atheism, which often takes the position of moral relativism or ethical relativism. It is the position that moral or ethical propositions do not reflect objective and or universal truths, but instead make claims relative to social, cultural, historical, or personal circumstances. Using a mathematical theory known as the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, and attributing it in a crude sort of way to people, we might say we can never know precisely what a person is about to do, what they are thinking, or where they are going. Most of us never really concern ourselves with the mundane lives of others. We just expect that everyone knows what to do without being told so, that we each get to where we're going, we hope, without circumstance. Using the construct of yet another scientific mathematical principle known as the cosmological constant, symbolized by the Greek symbol lambda, suggests that there is a unifying principle of all things, at least in a mathematical and material sense. Einstein's unified field theory was attempting to suggest that all of the material forces comprised in gravity, electricity, strong and weak nuclear forces were all somehow unified. But what does this have to do with a unifying moral construct? Is it possible that there is a law, a single unifying ontological principle, a moral unifying field theory that applies to all humankind? While we can conjecture as to the nature of material masses and the laws that apply to celestial bodies, planets, suns, galaxies, and space, the quest to understand the properties of matter have not provided mortals with the means to hold human behavior in check. To this day, this still holds to be true. From the ancient cultures of neo-paganism sprang the deification of material elements comprising the earth and its observable celestial bodies, sun, moon, and stars, thus giving rise to a supposition that all the constituent material masses were the result or culmination of deities, made after the likeness of men and women, but still terrestrial in a traditional sense, retaining human attributes, attitudes, and behaviors. As our understanding of the material cosmos, time, and space grew and changed, so did humanity's concept of deity. While many cultures have still retained a polytheistic anthropomorphism and even a tribal paradigm of deity, some broke away and challenged their belief systems as to the nature of what today we commonly call God. Many of the ancient theologians were reluctant to let go of their anthropomorphism. Not long after the crucifixion of Jesus, the pagan system of thought and reasoning usurped the conversation, and for the most part dominated the dialogue pertaining to God and attributes of divinity with respect to Jesus. In the ages preceding the biblical narrative, from Old to New Testaments, there has almost always been a polytheistic slant on all things deified. In Babylon, it was Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz. In Egypt, it was Osiris, Isis, and Horus. To this day, most professed Christians identify with a Trinitarian concept of God. It is probably noteworthy to emphasize that for about 150 to 200 years after the crucifixion, the Trinitarian concepts had not yet been introduced. Many of the professed Christian bishops, all the way up to Constantine, who declared Christendom the state religion at the Council of Nicaea were in fact pagans. Most scholastic theologians agree that Quintus Septimus Florens Tertullianus, or Tertullian as he is commonly known, is largely thought to be the progenitor of the Trinitarian or Trinitas concept of God, being or having three distinct personas, but comprising a whole. This theistic model seems to have been adopted for a variety of reasons, not least of which was to satiate the predominantly pagan populace of the time. Because the authoritarian nature and system of Rome was effective, it was adopted later by the Catholic Church. It became heresy or apostasy to accept any other belief but that which was deemed Christian, which appeared to be nothing more than a revised type of anthropomorphism. It has survived to this day.